My name is Marcia Kester, and I'm Skagit County born and raised woman. I am a mother of two, and I have a teenage grandson as well, and a new grandbaby on the way. I am 25 and a half years clean and sober to date, and counting.
She knows there's something more out there to see. But chained to the door, will she ever break free?
So I started using at about the age of 13, and I had a lot of fun through high school and everything. At graduating high school, everything was great, but I had this feeling inside like I didn't want this to be my lifelong thing. So I actually met and married my husband, who I thought was going to be my knight in shining armor to kind of take me away from a lifestyle I just felt I would rather not be in at the time. Everything was great until our marriage started falling apart a few years later, and suddenly I found, in picking back up where I had left off with my old friends and, looking for relief and fun again, that I didn't have the choice to take it or leave the drugs or alcohol like I did before. Now I had two young kids, needed to work, had all of these responsibilities in life, and I actually was able to keep my using out of moderation for a while. And probably about 5 years into it there, I went back to finding myself around cocaine. And cocaine is what I say really brought myself to my knees. I remember in using cocaine that it got to a point where I was leaving my kids with my mom, not coming home and doing the things that I needed to do. I was no longer working. Just so many things that kind of were heading south. I would pray to God at night, just please don't let me wake up and do tomorrow what I did today. Please. I don't know how to fix this, but I just don't want to continue to feel this way. The intervention for me came one day when I was at home waiting for my daughter to come home from school. She was in kindergarten or first grade. And instead of my daughter coming home, after I was panicked because she was late, suddenly I get a knock on the door, and it is the Mount Vernon police. They had come to take my son from me, search my house, and possibly take me to jail. I remember having to give them my son, who was like 3 years old, 4 years old at the time, and go place him in the police car with him screaming and hanging on, begging me not to let him go, and having to let him go. And the shame and guilt and total devastation of this facade that I had put on for so long came crashing down around me. After that day that the police showed up, they didn't end up taking me to jail, but I was faced with what was I going to do now. CPS was involved, and they basically told me, you've got to go do what we say, and then we'll give you your kids back. So when they told me the first thing was to go get a drug and alcohol evaluation, which I went and got, and I knew I was a drug addict and alcoholic. I had no question about that in my mind. So I had no idea if recovery was possible for me, because I had never had to really do anything so hard and responsible, change something so dramatically. And so I really had no idea what it would take, but I had this magical thinking that everything would just work out. I first tried outpatient recovery, and I just couldn't stay clean. I couldn't stay away from the friends and people, the lifestyle that I had been so long enveloped in. And so I remember sitting in the counselor's office the day that he told me I would have to go to inpatient treatment. So I went to recovery the first time thinking, this is going to be all right. I got there. I felt like I fit in. I learned a lot of wonderful things and went away 21 days later feeling good about having been clean for 21 days and with a plan I just wasn't going to use anymore. And within 4 months, found myself right back to using again, same old lifestyle, same thing as I was doing before. It took almost a year for me to get to a point where I said to myself, my gosh, what am I doing here? I feel like I could die seriously if I keep doing this. So I went back to the recovery house and said, how can I get to treatment again? And my counselor was like, why should anybody waste the time and effort on you doing this again? You just got out, really. You didn't change anything. What are you going to do differently? And so by that time, I had pretty well made up my mind. I was going to do everything differently because this whole recovery thing was not a walk in the park. So I was able to get financing again to go back to recovery, and the difference being this time I realized I needed to be willing to change everything. I needed to be willing to do everything they said, and if you told me to jump, I would say how high, not why, not how. So that willingness was the key, I feel, to 25 and a half years of recovery today. And so the wonderful thing is that at 10 and a half years clean and sober, the bottom fell out of my world, found myself jobless, homeless, depressed. It was the universe or God, you could say, picking me up off of the normal path that I had been on and setting me on a perfect path to share this dream that had been in my heart for over a decades really, where I had this dream of being a performing musician. And I had this beautiful mentor who told me every time I saw her what to do next, like, a guide, like, try this, contact this person, do that. And today, I am so blessed because I know that being in recovery is the only reason why I get to live this magical life of a local musician. And I play a lot of places where people will be like, hey, let us buy you a drink or let us do that. And I am not ashamed of my past. And I get to share little brief bits and pieces with people. Hey, if you like me, you probably don't want me to do that. So, hey, let's just skip that part and I'll keep having fun with you and you keep doing what you're doing. And, we'll have a great time here. And so today this is me, Marcia, the recovered addict, doing exactly the thing I'm meant to do on this planet today at this time, and I have no question about that.
It's her life anyhow. It's her choice anyway. She must choose now to believe and fly. Yeah, fly.